Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So one lesson I learned the hard way about American workplace culture is that you really don't have true friends in the office. They're very rare. I wouldn't say you never, but most people at the workplace do things in their own self interest. It could be indirect. So, for example, I was talking about a colleague who needed me to fill in because his sister is getting married, and I, I mean, it, it, when I talk to him about it, I tell him it's nice to network with other classes. But in the back of my mind, I want him to fill in for other times when I have needs, and also to to form some camaraderie. Right? I'm not 100% altruistic for doing. Let's put it that way. And neither is other people. I made the mistake of thinking that we're a team in times past. Right? We're all in this together, or and so I don't like the dynamics of workplace relationships. If you think about it, it's a weird one, right? At the same time, we all have a common goal, right? So, for example, right now I teach at Phoenix College. We all have a common goal of teaching, but at the same time, we're fighting each other for promotions or whatever, or for the best classes, the best schedules, the best accommodations. I worked at a software startup before, and again, we're building this software together, but at the same time, there's competition. Right? It's a weird dynamic, right? What None of my other relationships behave like that, right? When I go to a board game meetup, it's pure together, right? I mean, yes, we can play competitively, but at the end of the day, our goal is to have fun, right? And similarly, when I go on a date, right, there's no me versus her or anything like that, right? Hopefully not, right? When I go to a coin shop or I do any sort of investment, right, then it's pure me versus them, right? Who can invest better? Who could get the better deal? Um, Similarly, the art show behaves more like a me versus them, right? Who can make the best art, right? Workplace dynamics just get really, really tricky. And unfortunately, especially here in the United States, right? So I was reading an article today that really highlighted how little camaraderie we have in the United States. Lately, there's been this pandemic of people getting into disagreements, maybe not outright fights. Sometimes it escalates into a fighting situation of somebody wanting to switch seats on an airplane to sit with their family, and there's always a disagreement about that. Personally, if I were asked to switch seats with somebody and the seats were equivalent in any other way, and so a family could sit together, I wouldn't have a problem with that, by the way. And 9 times out of 10, the seats are more or less equivalent. Somebody just wants to hold out because they can, right? Because that's a seat assigned to them. And it's the because I can attitude is what I strongly dislike, right? If they had a good reason for it, maybe I could be accepting of it. But holding out on something just because I can, oh, I'm not going to switch shifts with you on Friday because I can. I'm just going to waste my Friday anyway, and the shifts are equivalent to me. That's where I have a problem with that. See, we have this toxic culture of if you gain something, I'm losing something, even if I'm not, right? I actually had a problem with I tried to switch seats, but not in the United States. It was in Europe, and I ran into a kind of a good and bad situation. But it really showed the camaraderie that Europeans have compared to here in the United States. What had happened was I had flown to Warsaw, and I was about to take a train from Warsaw to Gdansk Bay, Poland, and it's about a 3-hour train ride, I want to say. I had boarded the train and noticed this interesting girl. I thought I want to try a pickup line on her. I saw her sit down. I was wondering if there was anybody sitting next to her, and this guy sits down, and I didn't think they were related. The guy was, I want to say, a Southern Asian, Southeast Asian background, and so I spoke to the guy sitting next to her. I wanted to see if I could switch seats with him. and I confessed what I was going to do. And I said I'm only going to be in Poland for a couple weeks, and I'd like to give it a try, you know. And I made a giant mistake. She was his wife, and he told me I was embarrassed out of my mind. I slithered away, hoping not to see him for the rest of the train ride. And I wasn't depressed or anything about it. I was just embarrassed out of my mind. And I slithered away and looked for an empty seat far away from the seat I was trying to switch to. And so for 3 hours, that's all I could think. I couldn't even focus on the scenery or anything else for 3 hours. When the train arrived in Gdansk, I wanted to slither away from the train without him seeing me, but the problem was that I had to go out the door where he was sitting, and I passed him, and he wished me good luck in Gdansk. And this would never happen in the United States, right? If I had made such a mistake in the asking somebody to switch seats with me because I like their wife, I think there's a good chance one of us is going to end up in a hospital or in a jail, right? Easily in the United States, right? That's how we behave. Earlier this year, when they were talking about student debt forgiveness, I mean, there are problems with the student loan forgiveness programs that they're proposing. Don't get me wrong about that. But the one thing I kept hearing over and over and over again is that I paid off my student loans, right? It's not fair, right? So if somebody else benefits and you don't, you have a problem with that. That's the flavor. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are things to be ironed out about how we pay for college, and don't get me wrong about that. But that's a terrible argument. That because I paid off my loans, you should too. I mean, if you want to argue about how it's going to affect other things, sure, but I don't want to hear that argument. That really goes to show we have a me versus you kind of attitude, right? The other thing is that Americans are so narrow-minded when it comes to thinking about good solutions. So I go to this board game meetup every week, and these people are very nice to me. I have skin contact allergies to various foods, and but most people have a difficult time adjusting to using utensils. So, for example, sometimes there's pizza there's chicken tenders, and you can eat all that with utensils. But most people have this huge adjustment syndrome that gets to them when they try to, you know. And so every time we talk about, I learned the hard way. Sometimes my colleagues and I talk about ways that we're pinching pennies and all that because none of us make a good amount of money. But I learned the hard way that you can suggest to people that maybe they should skip their vacation and stay at home for vacation. Usually that doesn't go too badly. You can suggest switching, what brand of toilet paper you buy. Usually that's all right. But as soon as you talk about their food, oh my God, it's like you want to yank an organ out of their body. And I don't know why. I mean, too many Americans really could use a revamping, a remake of an overhaul of their eating habits. But I mean, I have better luck suggesting to people maybe they should think about quitting smoking or doing something if they have a vaping habit. Most people are open to the idea that, they got to do something about that, right? I mean, even though vaping really doesn't cost all that much compared to smoking, still people will think, as soon as you even mention, even just taking away one morsel of food, oh my God, seriously, I mean, you could give it a try if you dare. I recommend only doing it with people you feel very close to, but even then. All right, that's the end of this rave for now. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions for any of that. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.